With one case of Lassa fever recorded in Ghana, we ask how prepared the country is in fighting an outbreak. Our checks reveal construction of an isolation unit at the Braka Polyclinic has been abandoned for nearly 2 years.
Well, some breakthrough in the armed robbery cases occurring in the capital city as police arrest one suspect in connection with the Royal Motors robbery. 2 others have been shot dead as police fight against crime intensifies.
Now tonight, again, we share with you our story of the 44-year-old Akosua Dankwa, whose dreams have been cut short as she battles with sickle cell condition.
Well, coming up in business, IDEG report reveals 1.7 million cocoa lands destroyed due to illegal mining.
You're welcome once again to the program. Now to our very first story for this time. She was only 2 years old when she was diagnosed with sickle cell. At age 10, Akosua Dankwa had already suffered her first stroke. GHOne News' Nadima Umar Uthman reports, although sickle cell affects 15,000 persons in Ghana annually, treatment cost is extremely high. There's more on the report.
44-year-old Akosua Dankwa was born with a sickle cell disease, having inherited the SS gene from her medical doctor mother and father, who is a pastor, both with the AS gene. In sickle cell disease, the normal round shape of red blood cells become deformed, turning sickle-shaped. Although stroke is usually attributed to the aged in our part of the world, Akosua suffered hers at just 10 years old and subsequently at age 13.
The first crisis I remember, I think I was about 11. And the pain is very, very bad. If it comes in your knees, you can't walk. And it's like an impossible situation.
Akosua, who once contemplated ending her life due to the crippling pain, tells me her condition rendered her timid and reserved as she missed out on all fun activities as a child.
From the time I had the second stroke, it was a very bad time in my life. I was very bitter and a whole lot of things. I didn't understand why would God do this to me and all that. I didn't understand at all. So I didn't take it well.
Akosua also suffers from a leg ulcer, a wound that started off as a mere scratch and has refused to heal 2 years after and still counting. Living with sickle cell is not cheap. Treatment, therapies and management of the disease are very costly. Sadly, the National Health Insurance Scheme only covers a paltry part of the treatment. Akosua's mother, Virginia, is a medical doctor and explains although she and her husband knew they were carriers of the sickle cell gene before marriage, they decided to take a leap of faith by relying on prayer.
We discussed it with some trusted friends, Christian friends, but the long and short of it is that the thing depended upon ourselves. The final decision is ourselves. So we, but then they said they'll help us to pray. So we took a period of time when we were all going to pray about it. And I must say that within that time we did not get the impression that God was impressing it upon us to stop the relationship.
Akosua's mother does not regret the decision to marry an AS man like herself and going ahead to have a child from that union. But she advised couples to check their genotypes in order to make an informed decision. Recent statistics indicate that 25% of Ghanaian population are carriers of the sickle cell gene, while 15,000 babies are affected by the disease annually. But the question remains as to the level of education on this disease and available remedies for persons living with the condition. Established in the 1970s, the Ghana Institute of Clinical Genetics at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital is currently the only major clinic that handles adult sickle cell disease. Since its establishment, the facility has registered 26,000 patients and sees to more than 10,000 yearly. On the average, 40 sickle cell patients visit the clinic every day. Specialist hematologist at the center, Dr. Eugenia Asare, says although Ghanaians are aware of the disease, public health awareness is still low.
Even in the health sector, you can meet a health personnel and then try to find out, do you know your genotype? They have no idea. Okay, they see sickle cell patients and they think it's a strange disease.
She also emphasized the need for government to establish newborn screening and specialized clinics across the country. The Ghana Institute of Clinical Genetics is also woefully resourced. There are currently only 13 beds at the center.
If you have an institute where every day, on the average, you see about 40 patients.
Every day?
Yes, on the average. There are some days that they are more than 40, there are some days they are less, but on the average it's 40 patients. And then 1/3 of these patients come in crisis. That means they would all require beds. So if you just have 13 beds, it's more like pain management. If it goes down, somebody else has to take the bed. Okay, so these are some of the challenges. We need a bigger space. We need a well-equipped lab where we can run some of these labs at least at a subsidized cost.
Key among the challenges sickle cell patients face is stigmatization.
I attended an interview with one of these telecommunications companies, and then I had gotten sick, so I looked sick. I had lost weight and everything. So during the interview, a man asked me if I have a condition. For fear, I said no. But then they went ahead to ask my blood group and all that because they said I wasn't physically strong. I passed through the first interview. I went to the second one. We had an exam, like aptitude test. I went through it, but just because of my physical look, they told me I'm not physically strong. I didn't get the job.
44-year-old Florence Berfi appealed to government to resource the center and include other relevant medications needed by patients onto the National Health Insurance Scheme. In 2008, the United Nations declared sickle cell anemia as a public health concern.
Now, management of the Ghana National Food Buffer Stock Company under the Free Senior High School program has begun retrieving unwholesome flour distributed to 119 senior high schools in the Ashanti region. Now, the move follows complaints from students about the sad-tasting meals prepared for them with the flour. One matron alleges students in her school are planning a violent demonstration if she continues to use the flour.
The issue was that when they bake with it, it gives off a bitter taste at the end of it. So they felt that it could not be used because the students also were complaining. And obviously, if they are complaining and they are not going to eat, we might as well do the withdrawal of those items. So yes. It's unfortunate it happened. We took steps to retrieve all those items from the schools. It wasn't unwholesome. It wasn't expired. It was not fit for purpose. It gave a bitter taste. And so since we've made the necessary arrangements to retrieve all these things, I believe the parents should be rest assured that we wouldn't do anything to harm our own kid brothers and what have you. We wouldn't, yes.
Now, the Ghana Federation of Disability Organizations has threatened to seek asylum in another country if the Affirmative Action Bill 2016 is passed in its current state. Now, according to them, the bill is discriminatory as it excludes persons with disabilities. They want the government to amend it before it is passed.
The members of the Ghana Federation of Disability Organizations say the affirmative action bill, which is before Parliament, does not fulfill its purpose of providing equal opportunity to all members of the marginalized groups in the country. President of the organization, Yaw Ofori Deborah, says their organization gets little attention as far as empowerment and support is concerned.
When we talk of discriminations in the public service and other rights, persons with disability are even worse treated. And for that matter, if there is going to be a policy action to address the gaps that we found in our system, then persons with disability should not be left out.
Acting advocacy officer of the organization said they are working tirelessly to ensure that bills that do not address disability are not passed into law.
If you put women aside and you put persons with disabilities aside, who are the most vulnerable? Obviously, the persons with disabilities are most vulnerable. So if we were considered by policy makers as part of the Ghanaian society, as an integral component of our society, and they want to talk about affirmative action bill, issues on disability should have come first. Instead of coming out with this what they call affirmative action bill that is purely focused on women. And I see it as very discriminatory and suicidal to the livelihood of persons with disabilities.
The organization has urged government not to consider them as an afterthought, but consider them as active participants in the Ghanaian society when drafting policies.
Now, lecturers at the Accra Technical University on Friday reported for work like they should. Similarly, students turned out in their numbers and teaching and learning were busily ongoing. This is in spite of TUTAC's announcement that it would start a sit-down strike Friday, 2nd of March.
Lectures were in full session at the Accra Technical University despite the nationwide sit-down strike action announced by the Technical University Teachers Association. But lecturers have no wish to give students and management of the school a false sense of hope. Pasted boldly at the entrance to the university was an announcement informing all of an impending strike by the lecturers. Chairman of the Accra Technical University's local TUTAC chapter, Jones Intiama, told GHOne TV that they were waiting for an official letter from National TUTAC so they could join in the strike action.
Before we issue strike, we go through certain processes, and I have not cited any official documentation asking us to go on strike. So as far as ATU is concerned, lectures are ongoing. We believe that we have to give the MPs the ample time to be able to deliberate on the proposed amendments so that based on the outcome we can know the way forward. So for now, ATU, we are teaching. We are preparing the minds of our staff that in case the MPs don't accept our side of the arguments we have put forward, then we shall explore all options. For now, all options are on the table.
The Technical University Teachers Association is in court to challenge the Education Minister over attempts to amend portions of the Technical Universities Act 922. The association argues that amending Section 23, 24 and 27 of the Act will not only cede the administrative functions of the technical universities to the National Council for Tertiary Education, which by law is only to act as an advisory body, but will also make both teaching and non-teaching staff temporary workers. The association says its teaching and non-teaching staff are demoralized by the minister's actions, hence the need to embark on a sit-down strike. Some final year students of Accra Technical University are displeased their lecturers might soon be joining the TUTAC strike. They appealed to the association to reconsider.
If this strike should happen, then it means what we as student leaders on campus are also saying is that then it means management have to also look at the academic calendar. Yeah, because we have 14 weeks in a semester and we have wasted like 4 weeks already. We have midterm coming up next week. So if they are embarking on strike, which it means we will lose about 2 weeks lecture days or 2 weeks lecture period. Then it means we student leaders on campus we will suffer.
I think this strike comes in to rather give us pressure as students, because if we are going to have the strike, we are going to get short of the weeks that we have in the semester, and that is going to actually give us more pressure in our semester. We have to learn so many things in a shorter period of time just to write our exams. And mind you, the examination board has already collected all the exam scripts, so we have to actually write the exams.
If we are to go for a strike for 1 or 2 weeks, then that means that the lecturers or the management should really make time for that weeks that we have lost. But if they don't make time for that, then they come and then they put pressure on us. Sometimes we even have to come to campus on weekends for lectures. We come to campus weekends for examinations, which isn't supposed to be so. Some of us are in our final year, and in May we will be done. So if they can wait, so that after the academic year has ended in May, then they embark on the strike, I think that would do us more good than harm.
Already, some local chapters of TUTAC in the regions have commenced their second March sit-down strike.
Well, it looks like we're back to the cycle.
Strikes and strikes, more strikes.
Yes.
Let's hope this one is truncated quickly so the students can go back to learning.
Hopefully.
Well, we'll take a breather here. We'll be right back with more news. So stay with us.
So what makes Storm energy drink different?
Look into the bottle.
Storm energy drink. Power.
The Ghana International Trade Fair is back again. From the 28th February to the 7th of March 2018, the Ghana Trade Fair Company will be hosting over 500 exhibitors from all over the world for the 22nd International Trade Fair at the Ghana Trade Fair Center, La Accra. Come and have quality entertainment while you network to develop your business. Activities lined up for the 22nd International Trade Fair: Wednesday, 28th February, opening ceremony; Thursday, 1st March, regional day celebration; Friday, 2nd March, high life night; Saturday, the 3rd of March, country day celebration; Sunday, 4th March, food fair and CEO's cooking competition; Monday, the 5th of March, Cocoa Day and into Madan. Then on the 6th of March, the biggest outdoor concerts. Come and enjoy your favorite local Ghanaian dishes at the food fair while you listen to evergreen high life music at the Beer Festival on weekends and holidays. The Kids Corner will give our children a treat with their favorite cotton candy, ice cream, bouncy castle, swimming pool, face painting and many more. Be part of the 22nd International Trade Fair. Join us from the 28th to the 7th of March at the Ghana Trade Fair Center as we trade and network in style and entertainment under the theme Industrializing Ghana and Creating Jobs. The program is brought to you by the Ghana Trade Fair Company in partnership with the Ministry of Trade, One District, One Factory and EIB Network.
Water gives life. Water is life. Enjoy the pure, refreshing taste of Awake purified drinking water, which comes in a uniquely designed bottle with a lemon green tap. Water is your perfect way to stay hydrated. And remember, for every bottle you buy, an amount will be donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center, Ghana. Awake purified drinking water, one for life. For bulk purchase, contact 0262 351 251.
You're welcome back to News Tonight here on GHOne Television. We'll continue with the stories we have for the evening. Here we do a break now where the Ministry of Food and Agriculture is set to clamp down on all illegal occupants of government lands. The move, it says, is to redeem agric lands earmarked for the purposes of research and also build bungalows for its staff.
Lands which 50 years ago were outside towns and villages have become right in the center now. And the result is that people demand for land in the urban areas have gone up so much that some people have decided in the course of time to take the law into their own hands, to encroach on government lands. And the hardest hit is this ministry, to the extent that even plots of land which have ongoing research going back 50 years, very precious information for research into agricultural development, have been encroached. And it's not only here in Accra, it's all over. You go to Tamale, massive encroachment taking place. You go to Takoradi, you go to Kumasi, all over the place. And we feel that all this should stop. And this is why this weekend you heard or read or saw this massive exercise in an attempt by this ministry to reclaim some of the land back as a signal that we are going to fight back to redeem the lands which belong to the people of this country.
On 25th February, the Ministry of Agriculture commenced a nationwide exercise to reclaim all lands belonging to the ministry. The exercise commenced at Nungwa Farms on the Tema motorway, where scores of structures were demolished. This land, according to the ministry, was taken over by land guards who have in turn sold portions to private developers.
People are on the pretext that they haven't been paid, is of going through the proper channels of the court system to fight it. They have engaged land guards to forcibly re-enter land that does not belong to them. So we called you here to give this explanation and through you to appeal to the people of Ghana, particularly those who are encroaching on government land, to stop. And we are particularly worried about the extent of the encroachment on lands belonging to our Ministry of Food and Agriculture.
The ministry will also target properties in other regions.
Now, one person has been arrested in connection with the daylight robbery at Royal Motors at the North Industrial Area last Tuesday. The suspect, popularly known as Bibi, was apprehended by the police at his hideout at Ashalaja, a suburb of Accra. Meanwhile, 2 armed robbery suspects on the police most wanted list have also been gunned down in a shootout at an undisclosed location. Regional Commander DCOP George Alex Mensah spoke to GHOne News.
These guys have been engaged in series of robberies at Kwabenya, at Oyibi, at Hachu. In fact, Raymond was one of the people that went to Kwabenya and then caused the break-in. He did that because his accomplice, the Nigerian who was part of the escapees, they did a robbery together and Nigerian was arrested and he managed to escape.
Meanwhile, Parliament's Defence and Interior Committee has given the Inspector General of Police a 2-week ultimatum to roll out measures aimed at curbing the increased spate of robberies in the country. Now, the directive was given when the committee met with the IGP, the Interior and National Security Ministers in Parliament over the rising insecurity in the country. Now, briefing the media after the meeting with the security capos, chairman of the committee, Seth Champon, said ranking member James Agalaga and Vice Collins Amankwa appeared satisfied.
Service to put out information immediately to the public. As you and I believe, most of you from your media houses are churning out your own statistics. That's a worry to us. I've asked them that as a matter of urgency, they need to put out the numbers there. I received it in my last hearing during my budget statement. That is passed. It's before the House. But they, as an authority institution, must speak. That's why they have a Public Affairs Directorate. And that's what we demand.
Met the security chiefs, the Minister for the Interior, his counterpart, the Minister for National Security, the Deputy Minister of the Interior, the Inspector General of Police. They, as it were, brought to the fore some of their constraints, some of the challenges. They have also told us how they intend to deal with those challenges in the long term and in the short term. So like my chairman has said, we expect to engage them again within the matter of 2 weeks. And when we engage them again in 2 weeks, I am sure they will definitely be called upon to apprise us of some of the short-term achievements, if you like, that they may have chalked within the period.
Police were blunt, to be honest with you, that they face certain challenges, which includes lack of logistical support. Issue of manpower was also addressed, and we were looking forward that after giving them 2 weeks ultimatum, something fruitful should definitely come out. And as a committee, we are not going to hesitate to, as it were, brief you after they come with their new report.
Well, I'm sure there will be much more before that 2-week ultimatum ends. But it's time for business here on News Tonight. Kweku Teme is on standby. Kweku, how are the banks responding to these robberies?
Well, of course, the measures been put in place. But yesterday we told you about how some institutions are equally thinking about having the military come to complement the efforts of the police to ensure that this spate of robberies are curbed. Well, tonight I'm not talking about those, but I'll fill you in on really credit reference bureaus and how they are complementing efforts in checking non-payment of loans in the country. We'll talk about this and many other interesting details.
Business Brief is brought to you by Dusk Capital. We see a millionaire in you. We're looking for you, the next millionaire. We know of your stressful routine. From those 12-hour flights across the Atlantic to your hustle through traffic every day. From burning the midnight oil to that laptop that never sleeps. We know where you are in life, and we know where you want to go. Let us take you there. Thinking investment? Think Dusk Capital. Dusk Capital. We see a millionaire in you.
Henry! What is wrong with you and your laptop?
It is not working.
Hey.
What at all is going on in this house?
Your son's laptop is not working and my phone.
Me kai me mo frabrim na me mama de me ko Freddy's corner enti ene eye manager se me di Freddy's corner ho adanse a kire mabusia na ade ba ko a me kai wo Freddy's corner eye se de wo siti wonim ejeji wo customers. Eba mobile phone, eba laptop papa, camera papa ni PlayStation Freddy's corner aha in the wall. So go back to mobile phone say, or camera say, or laptop say, and our PlayStation. Me ha ho bra. Freddy's corner be trying you amount. Freddy's corner, your home of authentic mobile phones and accessories.
Right, it's a Friday. Let's take it easy and get some finance education here. Credit reference bureaus complement the central role played by banks and other financial institutions in extending financial services within an economy, while it also helps lenders make faster and more accurate credit decisions. But is the public aware of the importance of credit reference bureaus? Francisca Dixon-Ahen has been finding out more.
Since the introduction of multi-currency system, the issue of non-performing loans became a shackle around the necks of players in the financial services sector. To enhance the credit risk management, the Chief Executive Officer of XDS Data in Ghana, George Ahiafo, introduced the idea of setting up a central credit reference system. The credit reference system is expected to play a critical role in the management of credit risk by banking institutions and help minimize over-indebtedness by borrowing members of the public. George Ahiafo is the Chief Executive Officer of XDS Data in Ghana.
If you know that if you take a loan and you don't pay, you won't have access to another loan, because if you go to another place, they'll pull a report on you and they'll say, okay, you owe another institution, so you go back and pay before you come back to us. So if you default, it will be on your record. So you behave properly, isn't it?
But how well is the public aware of the existence of this system?
Have you heard of credit reference?
No, please.
Okay. Have you heard of credit reference?
Credit reference, no.
What we've realized is that not all we have quite a lot of the borrowers not being aware. In the research that we conducted as part of this campaign throughout the country, we found out that even those who have the borrowers were not informed by the financial institutions, and a lot of them stated that they are not aware.
Do they think it is a good initiative? What are their reasons?
I think it's very important, because if it shows how credible you are in paying and how well you can pay the money. Because if you don't pay, the bank is going to run as loss.
Yeah, I think it's okay, because we have fraudsters around. Okay, people can easily defraud people, other banks. So if you have this sharing of information with two organizations, we are able to cut down those who are doing these fraudulent acts.
Mawoko Williams, who is with the Frankfurt School of Finance Management, wants more sensitization on credit reference.
When the public is aware, it helps inculcate in us good credit behavior, because people don't know that, when I borrow, my information will be sent out, and therefore they misbehave.
The creation of credit reference system is one of the effective means to reducing the amount of non-performing loans in the economy.
In other business stories tonight, cocoa remains a major contributor to Ghana's economic growth. However, illegal mining is threatening the position as it robs farmers of arable land. Well, in fact, IDEX reports miners have evaded about 1.7 million hectares of cocoa lands, destroying large tracts of cocoa farms, all in the name of gold exploration.
Cocoa farmers in Ghana continue to lose their farms to activities of illegal miners. This over time has left the farmers unemployed and poor. Similarly, young people in cocoa growing areas have lost interest in farming. They have also turned to galamsey in some cases. These developments have culminated in shaving down cocoa production. Project Officer of IDEC, Elaine Godigans-Lati, reports cocoa production fell short last year as compared to 2016. According to her, galamsey activities in a community such as Mantukwa in the western region was not only affected by their cocoa farms, but also the health conditions of many individuals.
We are not only focusing on cocoa, but it's a very holistic program that ensures that the very aspects and different aspects of community well-being is being catered for. Okay, so we are looking at galamsey as an issue, and because it's very pressing and because it's affecting the community members, we found it very important to bring it to the attention of government. Government is doing significantly very well in clamping down this galamsey activity, but we want government to intensify its efforts.
Some farmers have no choice than to exchange their cocoa farms for cash from miners.
Just imagine, I have spent like 6-7 years cultivating in cocoa. You sold it for a small amount that cannot take you to anywhere. But because you are not willing to sell, but the farm, because the land belongs to chiefs, you don't have any option. So we just said it.
Na ube hatana awiwien na roda cars ebeba befa koko no dia kono road no enkoye nti sometimes area rain season nsu obetimi ata ka no befa koko ni kra na waka ekwan so.
All right, let's take out the stories now here. Despite processing the world's largest reservoir of unused arable land, the African continent has the lowest agricultural productivity, amounting to approximately 10% of global agricultural output. While speaking at the Canada-Ghana Chamber of Commerce breakfast event on agribusiness, stakeholders expressed concerns that Africa every year spends lots of money on imported agricultural products without making efforts to add value to its natural produce. They are therefore calling for pragmatic steps to reverse the trend.
Africa's economic performance over the last decade has been remarkable, having reached an average growth of 5%. This growth, when maintained, according to experts, will increase approximately threefold by 2030 and sevenfold by 2050, outstripping Asia. Experts are worried Africa's growth has not translated into jobs and the tackling of inequalities. Beyond growth, the continent needs transformation.
Agribusiness is huge as a country. We're looking at the value chain of some of the products that we have, what they are doing in terms of employment, in terms of income generating activities, and the foreign exchange. We need the Agriculture Development Authority to actually regulate the trade sector of agri. We're looking at bringing together all the government quangos from the top, which is the PPRSD, the Plant Protection Division. We need to look at the marketing, the investment. All these sectors have to come under one authority.
Agricultural production is one of the most important economic sectors in the majority of African countries. Approximately 75% of Africans rely on agri for their livelihoods. History illustrates that agriculture, particularly the developed agribusiness and agro-industry sectors, have been the driver of economic growth in many developed countries across the globe. It could also offer immediate value addition through commodity-based industrialization that exploits forward and backward linkages with the rest of the economy.
There is more to be done in the sense that what is the opportunities that are available in the market, we are not able to take full advantage of because of a perennial shortage of the quantity or the volumes of the produce or products that we produce. And so as an export promotion authority, we are now laying emphasis on growing the production. That is to say, investing more in production than even more in exports.
Experts believe that Africa can feed Africa because it is well endowed with natural resources and has the markets.
All right, so that's all we have for you in business tonight. But I know one institution that is looking out for millionaires, Dusk Capital. We appreciate you for supporting us.
Business Brief was brought to you by
Dusk Capital. We see a millionaire in you.
In other news, the Ghana Health Service on Thursday confirmed the country has recorded its first Lassa fever death and cautioned the public to adhere to actions towards prevention and protection against further spread. Now, as it enhances surveillance at the various points of entry in the country. However, in the face of this development, some health facilities still have challenges with resources needed in handling Lassa fever cases and other hemorrhagic diseases. Alizaite reports that at the Adabraka Polyclinic in Accra, there is no isolation unit since a building that was being put up to serve that purpose was abandoned over 2 years ago.
Since news of the Lassa fever outbreak in Nigeria broke, the Ghana Health Service sent a notice to all regional and district health officials across the country to be on high alert while measures are put in place to ensure prevention and spread of the disease in Ghana. However, a month after that alert, Ghana confirmed its first Lassa fever death. The Ghana Health Service confirmed Ghana's first Lassa fever case or death at the Tema General Hospital yesterday, that is Thursday, and has said that contact tracing is being done to ensure that other people that came into contact with the patients who died do not also have the disease. But in the face of all these measures being taken, how prepared really are our various hospitals in the communities? Should they diagnose any Lassa fever case? At the Adabraka Polyclinic in the Usuklote sub-metro in Accra, health officials were going about their duties. They said they have been prepared adequately to handle any Lassa fever case. The head of the facility, who doubles as Director of Health for the sub-metro, Dr. Selom Boche, assured all health workers in the facility have knowledge on how to handle any suspected case, as they have begun employing barrier nursing practices and basic hand washing frequently.
We started with education as well. We went back to reiterate the message of Lassa fever. So all our platforms and things, we have mentioned the Lassa fever. It's everywhere. Everybody is talking about it. And then the other part has to do with the infection prevention control. So we have basic hand washing, barrier nursing, wearing of protective equipment. Apart from the protective equipment, all the rest of them are all basic things we are doing. But we are enhancing and ensuring that all our staff adhere to guidelines. And we've also put out the Lassa fever case definition so that everybody who comes in can be screened for it.
However, despite the staff preparedness for any outbreak of the Lassa fever, the facility has no isolation unit to keep patients who are either diagnosed of the disease or present symptoms that call for isolation. This structure, which was being put up by the health service to serve as an isolation unit after the hospital's cholera bay was pulled down, has been abandoned for over 2 years now. The construction, which began in the latter part of 2014, was halted in 2016, but officials say they do not know why it was halted. So for now, a place is being sought on the compound of the clinic to serve as an isolation point.
Adabraka is well known for cholera management. So previously we had a cholera bay, which they've demolished, and the construction of a new place was started in 2014, which has not been completed as of now. So management, as part of our meeting today, we are going to identify a spot, one place in the facility where such cases can be sent to. Because at the moment, we don't have a point as I speak to you now. But by the end of the day, we should have identified a place that when we have such a case, we'll be able to put the patient and then start the investigations and management.
The Greater Accra Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Linda Vanotu, has however allayed fears of the public that the various health centers are not prepared. She says emergency response teams have been reactivated since the outbreak in Nigeria was announced.
One of the things we have done is to inform all our district directors and medical superintendents that we had a case like this, and immediately we reactivate our emergency response, and then the public health unit goes round to ensure that these emergency response teams are activated. And then we also have the orientation. As soon as we heard that Nigeria had reported cases, even without waiting, we started the sensitization.
The acute viral hemorrhagic illness is transmitted through rodent excreta. The fever has claimed over 40 lives in neighboring Nigeria. Lassa fever is endemic in West Africa because of its rodent population. Alice Ayite, GHOne News.
Now, the management of public morgues has come into sharp focus following the death of Ghanaian music sensation Priscilla Opoku Kwarteng, best known as Ebony Reigns. Now, pictures of her body and the other two she was with before that gory accident laying bare on the cold floor of the Mankranso Government Hospital morgue surfaced all over social media. Now, this has raised several concerns about how dead bodies sent to public morgues are left unprotected, hurting the sensibilities of their relatives. Now, GHOne TV's Kumasi team draw parallels between the public and private morgues Ivan Fumador has more on the following report. Viewers are cautioned about the graphic images in it. Anyway.
Morgues in public health facilities have come under fire over the past few weeks following the death of Ghanaian music sensation Ebony. Her body, together with 2 others who died with her in a car accident, were laid on the bare floor, open to the public and uncovered from camera lenses. Before noon on that fateful day, the pictures were all over social media, raising questions about the management of morgues and how inhumanely and insensitively bereaved families are treated. GHOne has been visiting morgues of public hospitals, and the pictures have been gory. This is the Sunyai Municipal Hospital in Bunuahafo, the home region of Ebony. You are met right from the entrance by an unpleasant stench. Bodies lay on stretchers, ready to be prepared for freezing. The area is full of houseflies, raising fears of infections being carried from these dead bodies into the nearby communities. The floor is splashed with dirty water, dripping from the washed bodies. A staff of the morgue tells GHOne News they are sometimes compelled to leave bodies lying outside the fridges for a long time because the fridges are small and just a few. He says the situation gets worse when they have to keep bodies untouched till the police takes evidence, and this process bloats some of the bodies.
No man of people now taking bodies now taking and take it out now, so go room there to me take anybody's now has on there be over one bamano or the two from for sometimes the problem ba nipa no to me hono and show body no more I say body now so go room obam no one bamano or the two inside the door to me
This bizarre scene, unfortunately, plays out in several other public morgues, especially in underdeveloped regions, with the Bolgatanga Government Hospital morgue reported to be one of the worst morgues in the country. It, however, appears some private morgues are on a mission to get things right. Dr. Gabriel Setcher-Kofi is on a mission to revolutionize how morgues are managed in Ghana. Unlike what we witness at the municipal hospital, his 2 morgues have nothing ominous about it. You are rather met by a receptionist whose duty is to console relatives and register each body that comes to the morgue.
Because they've lost a relative, most of the times they are down spirits, like they feel down. So I welcome them, try to calm them down. Then I ask them their reason for coming. So they tell me, I give them the prizes we have here and what we do as a company. Then I give them the option to choose which one they prefer.
Dr. Setcher-Kofi takes us through how bodies are received into the morgue and how they are transferred into the autopsy room for treatment.
Best practice is to ensure that there is maximal infection control. You want to ensure that the public is safe, and you want to ensure that the people within the mortuary are also safe. The first thing that you need to ensure is that these bodies are taken on stretchers right from the car. So whichever ambulance is bringing the dead body has to be taken on a stretcher, moved straight into the autopsy room, whereby it will be embalmed. Then after a while, it will be taken into the cold room for preservation.
Mostly people lose their loved ones, and how to keep the bodies has become a bit of a contentious matter, where the bodies are kept, how neatly they are kept, till they are actually carried away for final interment.
There is an autopsy room where bodies are washed, prepared and embalmed. A mortician tells GHOne News the team does not compromise on hygiene.
Body ni ba your entrance you pick a body in free. Na your trolley fire the body no eto so.
We'll bring you more on this story in subsequent broadcasts, particularly on Saturday when we begin our weekend news. Right now, however, Parliament has passed the Legal Profession Regulations Bill of 2018. The approval of the LI seeking to regulate admissions into the Ghana Law School was, however, not without controversy and protests on the floor.
Minority Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak, an ardent opponent to the LI, led his charges to protest the decision by Speaker to rule in favor of the proponents of the law. The report of the subsidiary legislation was put to a voice vote, contrary to earlier stance by Muntaka Mubarak that he will push for a secret ballot. Before the voting, however, MPs took turns to debate the report presented by Chairman of the committee, Mahama Yariga, amidst boos and jeers.
The committee came to a conclusion that the LI should be adopted by this House. The Speaker arrived to second the motion that this Honourable House adopts the report of the Committee on Subsidiary Legislation on the Legal Profession, Professional and Post-Law Law Course Regulations 2018, LI 2355. In this House is that you cannot cure the ills in the substantive act through subsidiary legislation. We believe, some of us believe that there must be open access to the law schools. This is a fault line in the primary legislation. But using subsidiary legislation to cure this, Mr. Speaker, is not the right way to go. There is a much bigger solution than this current LI before the House. And all that this LI seeks to do is to abridge and provide an interim solution to enable the Ghana Law School function until this House, this same House, is presented with that bill and do due diligence to it to enable the full government of the solution to be delivered to prospective law applicants.
Speaker Professor Michael Quay consequently put the LI to a voice vote and ruled those in favor had defeated those against, to the dissatisfaction of even some majority members.
Any particular statement which is tantamount to running a commentary or debating is entitled to object, and that objection will be upheld, and then the member who is presenting the report will have to move away from that treacherous pathway. So, Honourable, you may continue until specifically any member tells us this is not a report, therefore you are moving off tangent.
Then the protest started when the Aswansi MP stood up for a while without being recognized by the Speaker. Speaking after proceedings, Muntaka Mubarak once again accused the Speaker of bias.
That when we were voting for 4 years back to 3 years, when he knew that the House, they didn't have the number, but he wanted it to be a record of the House, that when this thing came, this is what happened. That is why sometimes you call for the vote. And he deliberately just refused to see any of us. I think the way he's behaving, I think that all of us need to be very concerned and very worried about the way Speaker is conducting himself.
Speaking to GHOne News, Majority Leader Oseche Mensah Bunso, however, argued due process was followed in arriving at the final decision. He explained, even if the LI was put to a secret ballot, it would have amounted to nothing, given the number in the chamber.
The report that came before us by the chairman insisted that it was a unanimous decision to approve of the report. It means that not a single one of them abstained or did not vote for the report. And it came to Parliament. You could see before the report that some people have told themselves that they were gathering some signatures to oppose it. However, the Subsidiary Legislation Committee that is chaired by the Honorable Ayariga, from the minority, has members from both sides.
The leadership of the law students who were present in Parliament registered their displeasure about the conduct of the Speaker. President of the students, Ado Donko, and his colleague Unu Umar disclosed they will consult with their lawyers to explore other legal options.
What is the need of a vote if you know the outcome of it? You understand? Yes, so if there wasn't the totality of the full complement of the members, right? What then was the need for the popular acclamation? Popular acclamation was supposed to yield a certain result that we would all work by. But if you have already made up your mind, then it was an exercise in futility that was exercised over there. And we all could attest to the assertion that the no's had it, the void, the no was stentorian, whereas you could hardly hear the yes.
Well, away from Parliament to do some news regarding the upcoming Independence Day celebrations. Now, endurance, mental toughness and spectacular display are some of the major packages millions of Ghanaians as well as tourists expect to be served on Tuesday, the 6th of March. William Evanzinkum today has tried to gauge the temperature for the celebrations from the Black Star Square and has the following report.
4 days to the 61st Independence Day anniversary, and contingents have been training for days. Whether acclimatization and endurance are not a matter of compromise because marching and other displays need a lot of energy. Several simulations have been happening here for the past days. It's been days of intensive rehearsals here at the Black Star Square, or if you like, the Independence Square. I am counting about 10 contingents drawn from the country's security sector. Not long ago, I also saw some contingent from the Ghana Education Service. I must say that the simulation here has been very colorful, and considering the weather condition, we are swinging between 28 and 30 degrees Celsius. You say it is an ideal time for these kind of drills to actually happen, looking at weather pattern and the fact that sometimes these events, if things are not put right, you hear of casualties, people fainting and all that. So if you are asking me about simulation and how they are conducting themselves or preparing themselves ahead of the 6th March celebration, which falls, of course, on Tuesday, I must say that everything is being put right. This year's Independence Day celebration is under the theme Ghana Beyond Aid. Perhaps these security contingents, together with other contingents, will march to mark the heralding of economic freedom.
Well, it's Friday, and on GHOne Tonight, we'll bring you up to speed with happenings in the world of entertainment.
The remains of late comic actor Super Odi will be laid to rest on May 18. Family of the star, born as Snaba Kweku Darko, made the announcement at his one-week funeral observation in Aguna Swedro, where the 84-year-old resided until his demise. The Akan drama star passed on February 13 after suffering a short illness. Elsewhere, rapper and producer Rick Ross has been admitted in the hospital following a seizure. Reports say an ambulance was called in for the star at about 3:30 a.m. local time when he couldn't breathe nor move. Sources close to the 42-year-old have disclosed that his issue is quite serious and it is heart-related. Finally, on GHOne, the Weinstein Company is in the